my name is Michelle English, and I'm going to demonstrate to you how to do a really cute design on a 6-inch round cake. So first things first, you want to make sure you have all your supplies out and ready available. The more planned you are, it always comes out better. My best cakes have always been the ones that I've put the most pre-planning into. The work before always really helps you out for the work after. And the more you prepare, the more extra time you'll give yourself for when things do get hitched up and when you do need to get something done on time. So always try to be as prepared as you possibly can. So here I have a 6-inch cake. This is actually one of my favorite recipes. It's a chocolate raspberry and it has a buttercream icing over it. Whenever you apply fondant, you want to start with a buttercream crumb coat, or some people call it dirty icing too. And the reason you call it that is it doesn't have to be perfect because you are going to put the fondant over it, so you can have a little bit of the cake showing, or you can have a little chunk of cake in there and really not be a big deal. But because this is the base for your cake, you want it to try to be as smooth as you can still possibly get it. So for the longest time I didn't have one of these revolving turntables, and since I purchased one it has saved me so much time, so I definitely recommend them. You just want to keep dragging your tool. Well, this is like a palette knife kind of. You can get it at any cake store and it works like magic. You really want to just make sure that the edges and the top of the cake are as smooth as possible. Whenever you're doing the top, you always want to kind of go from the outside in when you're going to get your smoothest edge. That is pretty good. I'm going to move over to the fondant. Wilton makes this fondant band here that has measurements along the outside, which I think is super handy because, I mean, as much as you're going to want to use a ruler, it's really helpful to kind of know what your dimensions are. Because I know this is a 6-inch cake, and I know it's about 2.5 inches tall. So you know you're going to need about at least a 9-inch radius of fondant. So if it kind of helps when you have just these circles that say 9 inches, makes it pretty dummy proof for you. So I usually overdo it. You can always trim. So I usually would, if you need about 9 inches, you're going to want to probably do about 12 or 13. You want to make sure you cover all the edges. You get a real smooth fondant. It's a difficult thing to work with. When I first used it, I cried for about an hour because I could not figure out how to get it to work to my advantage. It's a weird texture. So all I can say is really practice. I watched a lot of videos online, and I just kind of worked with it constantly, but it's not the type of thing that you can just kind of pick up and be really good at, which is what I thought, being the smarty that I was. So once you kind of get it to a smooth texture and you got it to the size you want it, you can transfer it over to your cake. Some people use a rolling pin. I find it works a little bit better just to kind of do it with your hands and kind of guide it over. And you just want to kind of lay it over the cake. Make sure you got all your sides completely covered. A little bit of lifting sometimes. And then you can just start smoothing. You want to start at the top and then just kind of follow it all the way around. This is also something that's very difficult to get very good at, especially if you're a perfectionist, like most cake decorators are, because you gotta kind of really be careful you don't get any bumps or folds. And you just slowly work them all out as you go along. Fondant does dry, but not too fast to the point where you have to rush through things. It's better just to kind of take your time. And then if all else fails, you can whip it off, clean off the buttercream, and give it another go. So I'm just slowly going around, seeing how it's kind of coming to a form there. Making sure that I don't get any of those dreaded creases. Around this way. Back here. And still going all the way around. See right about there that I got everything covered. Just want to keep smoothing to kind of get that perfect end result. And look at that. Another fabulous tool is called a pastry wheel. And you just kind of guide that along the bottom edge. Like I said, this rotating turntable is a godsend. Going all the way around. Okay, you can pull all this excess stuff around here. Look at that. Good to go. A little more smoothing. And there you go, you have your basic cake.